Truth Table News World. Welcome back, everybody. To the audience, alive and well as always in the house. Tonight, joining us, LDSA. He's here. That would be Mike, in case you guys don't know. He's got his new AKA, right? Ghost is here in the house also, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello, hello. All right, going up to the chat here real quick. We have got Bum on the Bus, Jerry Davis. I'm going to come back to you in a second here. CSM Yeager from the shit show of Minnesota is in the house. That was a joke. Okay, never mind. Lemke59, finally able to catch this live. Thank you for popping in here. Steve W792K, welcome, brother. Glad that you're here. Hey, look, we were just talking about him, this guy here, JJ Johnson from Finland. We're going to have some questions for you too also as well, so hang in there tight. We've got Schmidt 56011. Hi, Mike. Okay. Well, there you go. You can say hi, Mike. It's okay.
Oh, I got it.
All right, guys. Welcome back to a special edition live broadcast on a Sunday. We're going to be covering quite a few things tonight, but first and foremost, if you guys haven't noticed, I pinned, this is really, really important. I pinned a link in the live chat, and also there's a link in the comments. If you guys look down below in the comments section, there is a couple that we are desperately trying to help out who is a good friend of Ghost's. Okay. And I'm just going to get this off the top, then I'll digress over to him. So there are some health concerns going on with this family, and they've set up a GoFundMe page. And I'm just going to put this out there right now. Guys, please contribute if you can, whatever you can, to this couple over on their GoFundMe website. The links are above there. Just to let you guys know, any donations that come in tonight to the show, any donations or any, cash apps or whatever, buy me a coffees, everything, whatever comes in here tonight is going to go directly. I'm going to directly take those funds and I'm going to put it over in the in their GoFundMe page. This is a call to action here, guys. Really got to do this. Ghost, I'll let you tell there a little bit, whatever you can about them, and so that way the audience here can be abreast of what's really going on. And I was compelled to help. Got to do it, man. Got to do it. Go ahead, Ghost.
Well, his name is Mike also, and he's a dear friend, a brother, and Renee is a wonderful woman. It's his wife, and she's having a very, very difficult time, and it's more difficult than I would go into on here. But certain things only pay so much, and the medical bills always go beyond what insurance and things like that will cover. And they just need a little help right now. And I would appreciate everyone that could do anything. I don't care what it is. Do whatever you can for them, because this is the kind of people you want in your life. This is the kind of people that make this country what it is. And it's about all I can say about it.
All right. Thanks for that, Ghost. All right, guys. So there you heard it. All right. So let's just kick this off right here. Scan the QR code that you have up there that gives you access to all my links, all my socials, and everything in between. It will also give you a link over to the 444 Media merch store. And again, any merch purchases, that are done during the stream tonight, all proceeds and earnings will go directly to their GoFundMe page, as well as any donations here, chats, whatever, over on the YouTube side. Well, can't do nothing on YouTube. I'm not monetized there yet, but you guys get the message. So scan the QR code. If you want to go ahead and buy me a coffee, you can hit me up on https://buymeacoffee.com/TTNW. All donations, again, will go to GoFundMe during the stream tonight. If not, you can cash at me at the link that you see there on screen, And again, all the links are down in the comment section, in the description, and also in the QR code. But it is cashapp.com/$ Truth Table News World. All proceeds go to help out this family. Okay, so I would appreciate, let's just put our best foot forward. Whatever you can. I don't give a shit what it is. Let's get this thing going, man. I'm like, this is a good cause. It's a God call, and I'll just leave it at that. So
Greatly appreciate it, Armando.
yeah, no, hey, no problem, man. That's what we do. This is a family, and we got to take care of each other, and that's just the way I see it. You know, everybody here in the chat's family, man. You guys are my family, so we do what we can for whom we can, no matter what, and we just step up. See, there we go. MP20, thank you for that. Wow, great. Oh my gosh, thank you. MP20 with
God
the 50.
bless you. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that. Awesome. Greatly appreciate it. Okay, so let's go ahead and kick this off. So I'm going to go ahead and start this thing off tonight with a video clip of Kyle up in Minnesota. All right, so that way you guys have an idea of who it was and what we are up against, because there's going to be more that's going to coattail onto this. So it's basically a very short clip. I will warn you, okay, the guy's got a potty mouth, or it has a potty mouth, but let's go ahead and play it, and let's just listen to this real quick. Nope, wrong one, sorry. There he is. All right, let's go.
Not hearing anything, Armando.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Armando.
Yeah.
Not hearing anything on our end.
Oh, okay. All right. Hold on a second, guys. My bad. Let me just check something here real quick. That might have been on my end. Hold on for me. I can fix this. I have capabilities. All right. Let me just do this again. Share screen. There we go. There we go. All right. Just holler at me. Let me know if you can hear it. Here we go.
My name is Kyle. I'm Antifa, and there's so much rage in me that I've had to record this like 15 times trying to get the message out. They fucked up. Okay? Go watch my other videos. Doesn't matter if you're not here and you're not caught up. You've missed the fucking fight. But if you are, it's time to suit up. Boots on the ground. Nicollet and fucking 26th. My house is 4 blocks away. Anywhere between Franklin and Nicollet and 26th and Nicollet. Show up, ready to go. Okay, not talking about peaceful protests anymore. We're not talking about having polite conversations anymore. I am talking specifically to my fucking followers. This is everything I have fucking talked about, and this is exactly what I said was going to happen. This is exactly what I said was going to fucking come when we didn't fucking go and march on fucking Whipple with guns. Sorry. But welcome to America 2026, where Second Amendment is the only thing that's going to keep you fucking protected from literal fucking Nazi gunmen that are killing innocent people in the street with impunity. This is not a fucking joke. There's nothing fun to chant about it. Get your fucking guns and stop these fucking people.
Now, tell us that we don't have a problem.
We've got a problem.
We've
got a problem, and I just hope it's not. I just hope no rogue assholes are feeding into this. But then again, you don't know. It might not be rogue, and I'll leave it at that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, those tattoos ain't going to scare the military when they get called in. I'm sorry. Hey, he can talk the talk and he walk the walk. I seriously doubt it.
Yeah. And to think about that, the whole mission here, This is and we're going to cover their network that they got set up here on a later video. The networks that they got going here. Okay. This is how this guy got in there, because allegedly what ICE or Border Patrol was doing, they were actually, let me get rid of the banner here real quick. Sorry about that. What they were actually doing is they were targeting a Hispanic guy. I forget what country he was from, but that was the mission, right? And this guy just approached them while they were on mission and just interfered with the whole thing. Come to find out later, he got tipped off about what they were actually going to do. That's how he got involved. Let that sink in. Okay. They're monitoring. They hijacked Signal. Signal is what they're using in, the federales are using, you know, for whatever it is that they got to do, where they go, who's next, who's not, and stuff like that. And now they're sending messages with emojis on it, and each one has a significant command behind it, right? So that's what they're up against, right? So not fun. All right. Any guys' reaction with this? Because I told you this is your tonight, not me.
I think they've got to. Well, you've got to look at it one way. You've got to look at it as okay. Is this guy just a reactionary idiot, or is he stirring the pot? Or we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with him. But watching these things happen like this, and then what happens weeks, months from now, will tell you exactly what this is all about. Whether it's, say, could be interagency dealings, squabbles, that kind of thing, or it could be to sabotage the administration by forcing them. Everybody wants the Insurrection Act. There'll be a time and place for that. One city isn't enough. He could do it locally for that city. I would say leave it, you know, keep it to that region or that city, and do what needs to be done there. And if they, there's no reason why they shouldn't make an example out of this at this time, as there is no reason why there shouldn't have been certain arrests at this time. However, they're going to play the game how they see fit. They have other data that we don't, other data we will never have, and can only surmise. And we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, that's about what I'd start with on that. So,
all right, Mike, over to you now. I know that you were taking care of some groceries earlier when we were talking and stuff like that. Did you see anything, notice anything when over there on the ground?
Yeah, I just took a trip over to St. Cloud just to see the usual camping spots for all the protesters, and it was about 1 o'clock, so I think half of them had their pants on for the day. Yeah, it really wasn't a whole lot of people there, but you know, obviously they were gathering. I don't think any sort of negative, how do I put this? If there's any shenanigans going on, I don't think the local news is going to talk about it. I do know that my daughter's friend the other day was actually on Division down by where this you know, public library is at, and apparently they started harassing the vehicle, and you know, you got a little 11, 12-year-old in the back seat. I mean, come on. It's just, these people are psychotic, and I don't know, I keep going back to this whole thing. It really is like, I don't know, you feel like they're possessed. It's just wild.
yeah, and that brings me back to make asylums great again. And I said that, Armando, I've been saying that for how long now? How many years? 2 years?
At
Yeah,
least.
about a year, good solid year at least, because there are too many. Taking it from a medical perspective, and yes, I have grounds with which to speak on this as to relations and relatives rather, and you can't have a population of medicated or unmedicated people who are truly have a pathos in their as far as their behavior. And we have way too many of them running around. And these people are having families and going about their business, but they're always on the fringe. And when something like this comes along that affects their limited ability to, very limited ability to process what's going on, they go with their reaction, their emotional reactions. And this is very easy to ignite from a PSYOPs point of view. Very easy to ignite, very easy to tweak that flame to where you want it. And just, you know, when it's no longer one individual being shot, and say 20 of them have to be shot because they're firing upon feds trying to do their damn job, you know, that's not far off when you see this kind of egging on going on. That's not far away. Some of the things I've seen them do, I'm surprised that, you know, that ICE has shown such restraint. It's a comment to their professionalism. Because these aren't the these aren't your people that never held a gun or never were in, these are, I'd venture to guess that these guys, they pulled out of Louisiana and various parts of the country to go up there, are all combat veterans. So they're not, they know the rules of engagement, and they've been through it, so they can hold their fire, they can hold their level of violence or response pretty well. They're professionals, they can do that. It's what's kept them alive in other situations. So this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. It just is, because as soon as it ratchets up, as soon as guys like this, I take it this is going viral, this tatted freak is going viral. Okay. And let's hope he's got class 4 body armor.
And he's got about 30,000 followers, I believe, that he's encouraging to join him. So
in the local area,
I believe so. Yep.
Yeah, but
so
he's no longer with us though. So good
that
luck
was
with whatever money you make.
What did they do to him? Did they arrest him?
Dude, that's Kyle, bro.
Who?
That's Kyle. That's the guy they took out.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's him. I haven't been following that, to be honest with you. I've just been watching it from afar and getting reports. I haven't followed the characters. Okay, that's that Kyle. All right. Well,
Yeah.
he's dead. Good.
That's
okay. That's what happens to people like him.
What you
but
saw,
there's others like him.
What you saw in the media, he had his hair grown out and he was sporting a beard.
Okay. Well.
Okay. That part I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's the dude.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't watched hardly anything of what these people put out, unless it's in something I'm sent. Otherwise, I'm not looking at it. But it's a mess. And
yeah, he's down there polishing Satan's wackadoodle. So
big time.
Yeah.
But there's many like him, and you'll find it interesting. They use analog equipment. A lot of these idiots that are all your far leftists in their little networks, and they've got their little code words and all that. I think I saw a clip from that DiCaprio movie, which looks like a piece of shit, to be honest with you, but how it's up for an Oscar. Isn't that interesting timing?
Oh yeah.
Interesting timing on that film and the Oscars, and that film is the clips that I saw, and I looked at every one I could find. I just don't want to take the time to watch that film yet, but I think I need to. It looks like a piece of Hollywood's end of the propaganda wing, and that goes overseas and to the bank owners here. So you can thank them for that film. They've blown it up with a lot of hype, And from what I saw, if that's the best you're going to put out for attracting audiences, you're not attracting you're not going for the greatest number for your audience. You're going for a specific demographic with that. So thank you, Hollywood, you fuckwads.
Yeah, and regarding, Minnesota and just the shit show we're going into here at the moment, I think if this was springtime right now and warmer, I think it'd be a hell of a lot more pronounced. I'm actually quite shocked that with 15 below zero, these guys are willing to go out there and sit outside. I honestly didn't see that being as pronounced as it is, but I do see it intensifying. I mean, shit, after these next few days, we're back up in the 20s and 30s, and more people are even going to come out then. And who's to say something else doesn't get popped off? I mean, besides the shooting, an ICE officer got his fingertip bit off, and I think as things go along, it's not going to get any prettier.
No, it's not. It's just going to escalate. And we were talking about that. Ghost and I have been talking about the violence that was coming to 13 to 18 cities, blue states, blue cities, whatever, that we're going to go into a chaotic state. And we're witnessing that today. And we were talking about that 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Okay.
So you're here now.
Yeah.
And how this rolls out, we'll see.
We'll see. Steve W79 2K says, when did this video post? Because the guy they shot had a beard. Yeah, I just mentioned that. He grew out his hair, he grew out a beard, but the video that you saw of him there is not new. Okay, it's not new. All right, because that guy with the same bald head, no facial hair, tatted up to whatever, okay, they actually got a video clip of him who also appeared at the J6 protests. Let that sink in. Okay. Same player, same guy. All right. Again, paid Antifa. He admitted it. They were there. So there you go. You start connecting the dots. Guys, Ghost and I talked about this offline maybe a couple days ago. What you guys are witnessing here in the Republic today is this. It's one big, gigantic movie. Right? It's a gigantic movie, and you're going to be getting a new chapter or a new sequel on a weekly basis. We talked about that back in over Thanksgiving. You're seeing it now in real time. This has been planned, orchestrated from the very beginning. We've talked about color revolutions also as well, right? So I'm going to queue up the next one here that Ghost sent me earlier, and don't get the name mixed up, okay? Her name is Noam bin Laden. No relationship, from what we gather, at all to the other bin Laden, but could be extended family. Then again, bin Laden could mean Smith, right? There's a whole lot of Smiths out there, right? So who knows? But her information is critical. And some of what she's about to drop may go over some of y'all's heads, but don't worry. We got the Ghoster here to give us the layman's terms of it. Okay.
And she had been on Bannon's War Room, I think, and a few others out there. So
she dropped this.
Find what she's saying out there also.
Yep. Let's go ahead. Let me go ahead and cue that one up here. Let me bring that in here. Then we're going to have some Sarah Adams drops here related to Minnesota also as well. Okay, let me make sure audio is on. You guys roll me a 5x5 if you can hear this. Here we go. Nope, sorry, I got the wrong damn one. Shit. Where the hell is it? There it is. Okay. Here we go. Now I got it. Tell you, man, I need to hire myself an engineer. Hang on, I know there's no audio. It's coming. Let me back it up. All right, here we go.
Everybody should go as well to the Council on Foreign Relations website. They have 2 articles specifically that I'd like to highlight. One is on the conflicts to watch in 2026, which ties exactly to what is being discussed happening in Minnesota and this, crisis and the so-called U.S. political violence that is ratcheting up, which is true, but you have to understand this is entirely manufactured, just as the managed decline is also manufactured. George Soros has been talking about this for years. He's a master in terms of color revolutions. Your country is 100% going through a color revolution. And the other article also on the Council on Foreign Relations website is entitled Global Summits to Watch in 2026, Bracing for a New Global Disorder, ? And I found that the title was very telling because it ties to everything that's been telegraphed in Davos this week, most specifically by Mark Carney. You have all these liberals as well in the cold open that you posted there. They're all fawning over Mark Carney for his speech. But there is another speech that people haven't been paying attention to, which is a speech that was given by the president of Finland, Alex Stubb, in a talk entitled Rebalancing the New World Order. And he framed the current times we're in the following matter. He said that the New World Order can be multilateral with international institutions, open societies, or multipolar with deals and spheres of interests, and how if you give more power to the global south, they will decide the new world order, as Tim Hinchcliffe spotted there. The point I'd like to make with regards to that is that multilateralism versus multipolarity is a false dichotomy, because at the end of the day, they both lead to the same destination: centralized power, control, governance, surveillance. This is what we've been talking about for years, Steve, on the War Room. And this is when you zoom out, this is what we're looking at, Even the Club of Rome, they had posted many years ago about their plan, their multipolar plan, about regional adaptive models for the global world system.
I'm going to pause right there for a moment. Ghost, who is the Club of Rome?
Club of Rome was started by, I think, David Rockefeller back in the 50s, I believe. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was 40s or 50s, late 40s or 50s. It was Rockefeller creation. Go, a surprise. But what she's basically, she's making her conclusion that this is a globalist play, and it very well could be, but she's not factoring in the potential of any off-ramps that she doesn't know about. And that could be an economic realignment that does shut out Europe. Now, is that a thing to do to quell the American public so that we fall into, for the next 20 years, a false sense of security, and then 25 years from now, they get what they want through, which would be horrible warfare then, because a lot of the fun toys they're bringing out now, no, there's far more exotic and instantaneous toys that are available in the arsenal, but it'll be a very extreme situation, or 20 years from now, 10 years from now, when they would pull those out. Right situation, it could be used at any time. I don't give that a high probability. But, you know, if you're looking at the end goal of the globalist agenda, basically, what she's extrapolating would seem correct. And I would say, yes, that's a model to definitely bear in mind and keep with you. What I would be looking for is that off-ramp. That's a black swan to that whole agenda,
Bingo.
Not necessarily to a population, but it would be to the world surprising, and they would, you know, the words were already spoken. The globalist agenda is dead and all that. Until these people are dead or nullified completely financially as to their influence, which is going to be a very difficult thing to do unless you create a whole new financial system, which is what I expect if we're really going for the goal here. And if we can't get it under Trump, it ain't going to happen. I got news for you. It's not going to happen, because that's why he was raised to either carry this out against them, or they've masterfully played them, meaning all of those around him and the apparatus which got him there. I don't think that's the case, but we always have to keep both. You have to keep every scenario, win and lose, in mind. And when things start to lean towards the win, keep still losing in mind. It can always happen. But if things start going towards losing, you know you're going towards losing. No question. So that's what I'll say about what she's saying so far.
All right, cool. Lemke59, Lemke59, $50 dono. Thank you so much for that, man. God bless you, man.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. That is going straight to Mike and Renee's GoFundMe page. If those of you that just popped into the stream, if you don't know what we're talking about here, if you go down to the pinned comment at the very top of the live chat, or if you go down to the comments, right, on the Rumble channel there, you'll see a link there for a GoFundMe page to go and help out some dear friends of Ghost here. Beautiful couple, Mike and Renee. She's going through some really, really tough health challenges right now. And as I mentioned earlier, all donations that pop into the stream tonight, all proceeds from the merch store, all of it, every single nickel is going to go straight over to their GoFundMe page to try and help these people out and make a difference. So God bless you guys for the donations, and I appreciate any help whatsoever. That will be great, man. We're on a mission here. We're on a mission from God, not to coin Blues Brothers, but you guys get my drift. All right, let's go ahead and let's continue with the video, and we'll get some more feedback here. Mike, I haven't forgot about you, bro. We'll tap your shoulder here in a bit.
No, all good.
All right.
And they basically view the world as zones that they want to divide up to make it easier to manage and then centralized, as opposed to the Westphalian model of nation states, as we've been discussing. And so Mark Carney talked about the rupture, and Christine Lagarde yesterday talked about a transition. And I mentioned on this show yesterday that I tend to agree more with Christine Lagarde that this is a transition from the past 80 years and the international superstructure, globalist superstructure that they've been building, into this more so-called multipolar world. But as I said, it leads to the same destination. And we have an invisible government that has been at work here for many, many, many decades. We often refer back to 1815, you and I, Steve, and the Congress of Vienna as the meeting where the foundations for the globalist superstructure have been laid out and organized, which have led us to this point. And it really pains me to see what is happening out of the United States of America, all the latest news, because I can see the controlled demolition in play, and the audience, the posse is really the one audience that understands, thanks to your commentary, thanks to all the work that you and your team have been doing, what is actually really happening, the signal, not the noise.
All right. Now, there is a question that I want to put out there, Ghost, on here. So when she talks about a centralized point of control, is she really talking about maybe 3 sectors, meaning Western Hemisphere, European Hemisphere, and the Asian Hemisphere? Or do I have this kind of ass backwards?
No, that's one scenario. That's what they're having to now break. What she's saying is they're having to now break down into dealing with regions instead of the globe as a whole, which will make it more difficult for them. Whereas they've been building on that one model for that one false flag of all false flags. And what stopped that so far has been people's awareness of it, as opposed to that one that would build to that false flag that would then enslave the world, or basically, you know, take over with a smile the world with one structure, one plan, one move toward. They didn't get it 12, they went to 21. They didn't get it 21, they went to 30. Okay, now they're not going to get it in 30. So let's see what the next agenda coming out of the UN is. The good thing is we're stepping out of the UN, it appears. We've stepped out of WHO. And Newsom going back in is another thing for later. That's a joke. Not a joke I made, but that's a joke that he's doing that. But what she's saying is now that basically they've reworked their war plan and brought in the contingencies to it to say, okay, we're going to handle African nations this way, and then those that join in the U.S., maybe if they should go over to a new central financial system, but not centralized in the terms that the traditional central banking fraud has been, and it is a fraud. Armando, we've done countless hours of broadcasts on the nature of that fraud, what it entails, and how it plays into your everyday life through law and finance.
Yep.
So this has not been a game on their part. They've put a lot of money, a lot of brain power, and a lot of years into this. It's grown from 1600s theory and dreams to 1700s to 1800s. They finally got their claws back into the United States. And now we're in the 20th century, speaks for itself. If you want to spend the time, which everyone should, really dissecting the history of this then and then up until today. The things that we have today, it's not just digital, it's the most incredible technology that digital backbones enable that haven't even been deployed yet. Some have in certain parts of the world. They've been experimented with. And we're really getting into a dangerous, dangerous time, especially with AI. AI will speed this process up. It may not be 2 decades from now. It may be 10 years from now or less because of the advent of AI and its use by both sides. A lot of dangerous things that we can just, that's a whole nother couple of shows on that alone, that could be utilized against the population, not only the traditional where they were using chemicals and foodstuffs, basically poisoning your food and water and altering it over the last 70 years to, and medicine and many other things to get people's bodies degraded from childhood through adulthood through death. And we're seeing that with the lowering of the life expectancy in this country alone. You just got a test run that was let's say a full dress rehearsal was COVID. Prior to that, your test run was H1N1 back in 2010. 9 years later, 9 years, 11 months later, isn't that interesting? Here comes your part 2 of that test, which was COVID, and it was a binary attack. The pathogen never was a threat to anyone except the most infirm among us, and this happens all the time with normal pathogens. Less with flu, so they made up with it with that. The numbers they can finagle the same. What we're looking at now is, okay, we're at a point where we see what's happened to Davos. We see what's happening with the UN. When that happens with the central banking system, you can start to take it very seriously. And there's a few other things, but I think my thought stream ran out on that right there.
Before we get to the question on stream, I got one for you, Mike. Have you heard, based on what Ghost was talking about in relation to AI, have you heard about SI?
Superintelligence?
No, synthetic intelligence.
Oh, synthetic intelligence. I have not actually looked that up very much at all. No.
That's been popping up in some of my science feeds that I follow. And synthetic AI, the way that they did it is basically like super extreme hyper intelligence. And there are companies pushing this new model out there recently. Some you raters out there, they give it 1 star, 2 star, 3. Some give it a lot of 5s. I did a little bit of research and digging into synthetic intelligence, and dude, if this is real, first and foremost, if it is a thing and it exists and it's not some sort of con job, we're in deep shit based on what it can do. Because
of the
well, here's the thing. You set up the initial, you ask it, I'll give you a scenario, the way they put it to me. You come up with an idea of something that you want to do, whatever it is, right? You want to build a better widget. You submit it into synthetic AI. Synthetic AI will do all of the work for you from A to Z, tell you how it can be improved better and why, okay? And it will even freaking tell you how to go ahead, set it up, market, and put it out there to make money. And it will continue improving on what it spit out and making it better with no strings attached, other than probably a monthly subscription or whatever. So I took a look at the monthly subscription. It's like $7 a month.
Yeah, you know, if it wasn't for the bad people, you know, the bad individuals in humanity, that kind of thing would be amazing. The same with just AI in general. I think the things it could do to actually help the human population progress to a different level. But the problem is you're always going to have these bad actors that are going to want to take control of that and use it for all the wrong reasons. You know, I mean, I think about where that could bring us would be amazing. But yeah, it has to be controlled, unfortunately. And I think even Ghost has spoken about that before, where there's some aspects of this that we just can't have out there in the general public because it's just not a good idea. There's too many idiots.
Yeah.
Well, imagine if Kyle were a microbiologist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But then you look at that stuff and you say, well, physicians, it could help them diagnose an individual down to their individual chemistry and pull out diagnosis that they would spend weeks or months trying to find. Meantime, they're prescribing the wrong garbage, killing the person, not intentionally. And, you know, it could be used, like you said, Mike, with some really amazing things.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got that flip side of the coin. Everything's a two-edged sword, unfortunately, in this existence. But yeah,
That is freaking insane. All right, so let's digest, or digress, I should digest. Yeah, we're going to digest a lot here tonight, guys. Loves Her Girl puts a question up on screen. Excellent question, too, by the way. Ghost, I think that will fall more in your place, and I'll just read it out for everybody here. It says, any truth to Putin, Xi, and Trump having an agreement to divide the world into 3 regions? And does this play into the globalist plans to now deal with regions instead of central globalist control?
well, that's what I was explaining earlier.
Okay.
But
Right.
I'm in a negative. If I look at it negatively, as a negative, then I would say it's not. I don't think it's going to be dividing the world into 3. It'll be finding throughout the world who wants to be your economic peer or trading partner. And I think we'll see the division made up by that. But I think we're going to see Europe having to make some hard choices if they want to remain, because they've got a political machine that was so invested with the EU, the advent of the EU, and many other things that have happened over there. Basically, go to Switzerland, you have no rights. Say one negative comment about homosexuals and you will be arrested. They'll come to your door, arrest you, whether you type it online or you say it on to someone in public and the wrong one overhears it, and you'll go to jail. Not a joke. What they rushed these European countries into, they're having to pull back from that model. If you agree that the globalists are doing that, I will give you a case in point of why I don't think it's globalists, because Russia in 17, I believe it was, Putin, as you know, there are many things that should have made the news, such as what's going on in Alberta and Saskatchewan and a few of the provinces in Canada. 7 now considering bringing it to a vote to become part of the U.S. Now, Alberta at the precipice of the vote. But you're not seeing that anywhere. You're not hearing boo about that unless you go to alternative news sites or you have a stream of information coming in. Putin back in 17 went and made a very straightforward. As far as speaking straightforward, he and Trump are very much alike. He just doesn't have the sense of humor and the sometimes the flippant comments that Trump does. But he kicked the Rothschild banking system, named it as such, out of his country, and basically said, if you try to reestablish operations back in Russia, it's not going to be very nice for the people you send, nor for you. Made no news anywhere, except on RT probably, and obviously the press in Russia. But Russia, by the way, is the only nation outside the UCC regulations in the black. The only nation in the black. Well, spends less than it takes in.
Because they don't have the money. People, meddled in their shit.
Exactly. They don't have the central banks and their minions and their influence in their country anymore. And I guarantee you, try it. Well, you know what Russia does. We should be doing the same damn thing, but our country was formed by these oligarchs. They gave you women's lib. They gave you the sexual revolution. How's that working out for you? They gave you all of this horse shit, all of these social engineering programs, and got agencies to work right alongside them, both here and around the world, and worked with others around the world to do this. And I'm talking about the supranational oligarchs. Yeah, their territory is the U.S., but they claim no national allegiance of any kind. Rothschild, all the families. Those are the two names I use just as a catch-all for all the other families in Europe and here, and throughout the world, actually. But not to the ones outside of Europe and the United States don't have. They're not high up in their hierarchy. So are they going to divide the world into three slices of a pie? You might call it that. It'll probably come about through economic alliances, but you can't forget India. You can't leave India out of this. India is also was a Commonwealth protectorate and territory in the past, and it's if you know the history of India and the British Empire, for example, and that's where that was not only the strong arm for the banking families, but also for their banking partner in Rome, aka the Vatican. And when I say the Vatican, it has nothing to do with Roman Catholicism or any of that. That's their storefront. That's how they get their patrons, and how they receive a large amount of cash flow, in addition to their surname letters patent control, which controls and manages the upkeep of the birth bonds. Various countries, you'll have the accounting done for their populations. Again, a whole nother series of shows, 4 hours each minimum. But what you're looking at, I'll just leave it at this. What you're looking at, having said all that, what you're looking at is there are 4 major countries: India, United States, Russia, and China. And they're your economic engines. It's who's going to align with which nation that will decide. And that could be spotted all over the world. Make for a very confusing model, but this is a model I think they feel that they can helm or hijack at any time. What will be, you have to look for data points that will tell you whether or not actions in the future taken by the United States or Russia or India or China are in the name of their economic, not block, but alignments, because we all have to do business with each other. That's the only way the human race prospers. Do business with each other. Let's go the hell in the space where we need to go. But the alignments and how they let's say play out, and what results you see at any given time of this path that it seems we're going down. But we've got to also factor in the Board of Peace. They're nullifying the UN's, and the UN is a Rockefeller creation along with their partners in Europe. It was designed to be the kind of central nerve, let's say ganglion, not a brain, because it's been anything but a brain in history and up to today. But it's losing its luster. Now, how this Board of Peace replaces them, what actions they take now, but into the future, will also determine whether we're going to the losing side or the winning side for humanity. Simple as that.
And let's not forget that Mr. Putin, as soon as President Trump left Davos, like literally the next day, Mr. Putin donated $1 billion to the Council of Peace.
Yep.
Our enemy, right? Or is he? I'll leave it
there.
there.
No, he's your enemy according to the R&R propaganda machines.
Uh-huh.
Like in their world, Rupert Murdoch was given a large farm. ABC, CBS, and NBC were propped up for their farms. In other words, the people who patronize these different media outlets and all of the other smaller outlets that have been taken over by Soros. Soros was more of a station chief going after certain targets at certain times. At one point, it was small, effective news outlets. I'm trying to dovetail that in, but we'll leave it at that. Everybody knows what Soros has done, and he had his agency for them and that agenda. And you have to look at it that way. Who has an agency for which agenda? And when you decide that, and it's very easy to see, once you have the models fixed in your mind, then you take every situation as it comes. You do the mental gymnastics or the math, and you pretty much know what you're looking at after that.
Yeah. All right. Okay, folks. So we're going to go ahead and press on. I've been scanning the chat here. I don't see any questions there so far. Thank you. We're going to do a Q&A towards the end of the live today also as well. So just keep that in mind. I just want to, this was passed along to me before we came on the stream tonight. I actually tagged Ghost on this too, because me personally, I found it kind of funny. Has to do with Cuba, right? So I'll give you the latest. I'll give you the latest update that I got from, let's just say, my homies down there, right? Using that word, but whatever. Here's the latest. So our U.S. military, I think it's the carrier Bush that is down there, 60 nautical miles just north of Varadero Beach, off the island, which is basically skimming Cuban waters, but not crossing over into it. Launched some of our latest and greatest aircraft. And I said, I didn't believe it at first, but then I took a look at flight patterns, you know, what do they call that? Sky something or other, to look at, you know, sky glass, and confirmed it. They basically sent our electronics airplanes. I'll leave it there. We're going crisscross across this island, north, south, east, and west, without being detected at all. Okay. Took out their circa 1950s radar systems, took out all of their surface-to-air missiles technology back in the 50s, anything electronic, got zapped, got wiped, and then they went home quietly. They didn't even know what hit them. They couldn't even see them. They couldn't even track them. They went in, shut everything down, and went home. Right? That was first.
Full chest is vast.
And then the second part. Turns out Raul Castro and his third man in charge, not Canal, one of his military operatives, or leaders, if you will, are now hospitalized in critical condition. I don't know. Sounds kind of coincidental, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
The two of them at the same time? Now, granted,
somebody might have beamed them, but didn't beam them up or down. Just beamed them.
No, somebody reached out and touched these fuckers in the sphincter.
Yeah, I tend to wonder, and this might be a guy going out there a little far, but that's kind of what we did with Venezuela, right? Shut down their anti-air, shut down their radars. Part of me wonders, was that the other physics being used?
Yeah.
Maybe they're finally breaking that out. I don't know.
Yeah,
it might be.
When I was in the Navy, there was the A6 Intruder, A6 aircraft, right?
Yeah.
The A6 Intruder had two versions. The Intruder was your combat bomber, whatever type of aircraft. Then you had the
ground support.
Yeah. Then you had the AE6B, E for electronics. Okay. One of those planes, just one back then, could fly over San Diego or fly over Los Angeles, and at a flip of a switch, shut the whole damn thing down. All of it, power-wise. Think of it as, EMP in a box, if you will. And that was a long, long time ago. What do you think they have today?
Much better.
Interesting, isn't it?
Oh, lot better.
Completely undetected. Completely. Like, they didn't know what hit them. They were changing fuses, and some of this shit, and it won't come alive. It's dead. And now Raul and his third man wind up in the hospital under deathbed in critical condition. That came out of there. I'm telling you, folks, between now and February 15th, Cuba's done. It's over.
See if you hear anything as to his condition as a stroke.
That I don't know.
You heard it as a stroke. He caught a beam.
Well, think about it this way. He's also 94 years old. Let's look at that.
It doesn't take much to do that at that age.
No, give the guy a not very well made empanada and he's toast, right? So whatever. But anyway, just thought I'd drop that in there. All right. So now let's go ahead and go over to Canada. There's moves in Canada. All right. And Ghost sent me this clip also as well. I'm going to politely share this with you guys so we can listen to what's going on in Alberta. All right. Here we go. Let me make sure my audio is on. Folks, kindly please give me a 5x5 if you hear the audio. I don't know exactly how long this is, but I can go ahead and pause it and get reaction back from the table here. And let's just go with it. Here we go.
I think the people of Alberta would agree with that sentiment, that they would prefer not to be a part of Canada and be a part of the United States, because we are winning day in and day out.
But at this Alberta independence petition signing west of Edmonton Thursday, some sort of agreed with him. So you would rather be American than Canadian?
Yes.
If you don't take this opportunity, then you'll just go along with what the federal government.
Alberta has officially secured its independence momentum. And that is why this 51st state conversation is no longer something that you can ignore, as we've said many, many times before. And again, folks, there's a reason I keep coming back to this. It's just how quickly things have moved from being brushed off to being written in cold black and white ink. I guess just black ink. But the point is this. What people are arguing about online is now governed by hard things like forms, deadlines, statutes. Elections Alberta has approved a citizen initiative, shifting everything now from opinion into compliance, verification, and enforceable timelines. And folks, once a movement enters that lane, stops debating, and it starts activating rules that governments are obligated to follow.
As you can see behind me, there are hundreds of people lined up to sign a petition. What's the question? Should Alberta separate from the rest of Canada?
Yeah, I'm still watching people. We still see people commenting from time to time that this is just a mood swing. When in reality, folks, it's now a checklist. Signatures, thresholds, deadlines, certifications, referendum. That ain't a mood swing. You can feel however you want about it. But the point is that feelings stopped being relevant the moment the process was activated. Alberta's no longer asking whether independence should be discussed. Alberta is testing whether the legal machinery actually works the way it's written to work.
You can see the line. Like, the lines are there everywhere. For every event, doesn't matter, small town, big city, medium city, the lines are there.
An abusive relationship for so long, really. I think most of us just want out.
The numbers matter here. And I'm not saying that for drama, folks. Depending on the initiative, the required signatures range from about 113,000 to roughly 177,000 verified names. And that works out to around 3% of eligible voters in Alberta. And historically, that's not a casual target. Petition drives in this country, they usually stall out well before hitting that mark. Yeah, they initially attract interest and they burn red hot for a minute, but then most of them just flatten out. But this one did something else entirely.
Ottawa's not our friend.
The divorce.
Yes, we need a divorce, definitely, yeah. We just don't have a say. Even the elections, I mean, everything's decided before it even gets to us.
Within the first 2 weeks, organizers were already reporting more than 40,000 signatures. Not pledges, not clicks, actual verified names. And when you carry that forward using basic arithmetic instead of hope or fear, well, then the trajectory is pointing to you're going to go well past the threshold with time to spare. And that is why the tone has changed so quickly. People are sensing that this is no longer theoretical math. And again, I keep hearing comparisons to past Canadian petitions, and they're useful for one reason. Most of them struggle to reach 5% of provincial election turnout. Alberta's drive is tracking closer to 6 or 7%. Now, difference might sound small if you like nice round numbers, but folks, in political participation, that signals something else entirely. That signals coordination, that signals persistence, that signals intent. Systems respond to those traits, whether they want to or not.
You gotta like speak for yourself. This is the power of the people, our voices.
Agreed.
Yeah. Like, what do we have if we don't have our voice?
This is what momentum actually looks like.
And then there's the physical reality to all of this, which no amount of commentary from the mainstream media is going to be able to smooth over. I'll tell you that. Again, I've been watching a lot of footage about this, and I love it. I'm watching footage of people who are standing in line for hours in winter conditions in Alberta, Canada, Edmonton, Calgary, Red Deer, Millet, towns that don't exactly trend, and cities that supposedly tell a different political story. Folks, you're not going to stand outside in February in Alberta for something that you plan to forget next week. You do that because you want your name to be attached to an outcome. Now, I keep thinking about Alberta's 2023 provincial election. In that one, you had roughly 1.8 million ballots cast. That is the benchmark that everyone uses for engagement. Well, this petition effort is tracking towards somewhere between at least low end 100,000 and 200,000 signatories. That conversion rate is not normal. That doesn't resemble protest behavior. That resembles referendum behavior.
Why are you here?
In support of Alberta independence.
And what's the first thing you'd like to see in a country of Alberta Republic, if you will?
National self-determination. Put it very succinctly.
Self-determination.
And history is going to give us some context here. So let's go through that. In Quebec in 1995 and in Scotland in 2014, early mass participation correlated with turnout levels pushing into the mid to high 80s. And that kind of turnout reshapes outcomes because that pulls in people who are usually just sitting out entirely. When participation carries a personal cost to it, it starts to filter out the audience. Things like time, travel, weather, standing in line for any real period of time. Frictions like that, those remove casual interest and they leave committed people behind. And that's why calling this a protest, I think, misses the point. Protests express sentiment, but this is expressing endurance. Endurance changes planning assumptions. And the economic layer underneath all of this is not subtle. And I'm not going to pretend that it's complicated. I try to keep it as simple as I can. So I'll say it again. Alberta has not received equalization payments from Ottawa since the 1960s. Oof. And at the same time, it's contributing somewhere between $16 and $20 billion annually to federal transfers. It's not an accusation, folks. That's just a basic accounting statement.
50 years ago, it was great. Now to me, it's just falling apart.
So equalization payments, basically keeping our money
Here.
in Alberta, as opposed to sending it to other provinces.
Yeah. If we have any X over or left over,
maybe then
we can help them out. But help out our own people first.
I think we need some freedom and to get away from this failing country that we're.
So that means between 2007 and 2022, Alberta sent roughly $244 billion more to Ottawa than it ever got back. So spread out across the population, I actually wrote this down because I'm not good at math on the fly. It averages out to about $3,800 per resident every year. That's what it says. Check my math if you want. The point is this. People don't need paper to understand what that feels like. They see it in budgets. They see it in services. They see it in priorities. And so I hear the comparison with Quebec coming up constantly, and for predictable reasons. Quebec receives billions annually while maintaining lower provincial tax rates than Alberta. When people talk about structural imbalance, that's what they're pointing at, not ideology, structure, inputs and outputs that don't line up with cultural influence.
Day one, what would you like to see Alberta do as an independent country?
And polling reflects that clarity. When independence is framed around retaining provincial revenues rather than symbolism, well, then support crosses the 50% plus mark. And that tells you something really important about motivation. This is not being driven by flags or slogans. It's being driven by arithmetic. And I think energy is the final piece here that turns all of this from debate into calculation. Folks, Alberta holds about 170 billion barrels of proven oil reserves. And that's ranked third globally. I mean, that fact alone shapes how negotiations are going to look the day after independence becomes real rather than hypothetical. In 2023, Alberta's energy sector generated about $68 billion in GDP, and that accounts for roughly 28% of the provincial economy. Production averaged around 3.7 million barrels per day, with 97% of crude exports going south into the United States. That trade pattern already exists, folks. Independence isn't going to magically invent it.
Like the first thing, what is the most important thing for you?
Our healthcare system.
just like with the hospitals, like the wait times in the hospitals are absolutely insane. So if you've got $26 billion going out east, if you can put that back in the hospitals, schools, you know, for the future people, generation, stuff like that, that's going to be a major difference. Not to mention, like, with our homeless stuff going on, like veterans on the streets.
What independence does is it changes who sits at the table when the terms are discussed. Federal delays and regulatory layering all constrained export capacity for Alberta for more than a decade. Trans Mountain Pipeline, that probably illustrates all of that better than any speech could. Purchased for about $4.5 billion in 2018, Trans Mountain's projected cost climbed beyond $30 billion. So people read that trajectory and they were able to draw their own conclusions about risk and accountability. I'm not watching a province just drift with the wind, folks. I'm watching a province that's locking into place, step by step, signature by signature, line by line. And to me, that's what makes this moment feel different. Alberta stopped asking permission and it just started counting.
And even though the government paid media is trying to downplay it, to no surprise, they can't ignore it anymore. The lines are too long. The photos are too clear. The momentum is just too real. This is not going away.
So I keep hearing people ask why the United States has even entered this conversation. And I always answer the same way. The United States entered the conversation a long time ago. Alberta's economy already runs south in practice. I mean, that 97% number says something. So pretending that this is some new idea, it just feels like a theatrical line. Energy flows south.
Now, energy flows south, agriculture flows south. Let me ask you this, Mike, going to you first. Being up in central Minnesota, do you notice any Canadian goods or passage through of goods, you know, coming through your state and stuff like that? I'm just trying to get the pulse of how the flow comes in, or does it come in through the ports?
Well, there's a lot of railroad in the state. And unfortunately, in this area that we're at, I don't know if we would see a lot of that moving in. I wouldn't doubt it. I know that even when it comes to supplying power, I believe that they also in Canada help, even in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, with energy needs. But you know, again, this whole state is just covered in railroads, so it would not shock me that we're getting that kind of thing coming in. And I know we've got a fairly decent partnership, you know, with them on several different levels.
Yeah, we buy almost 100% of their oil production, and that small population in Alberta produces 14% of the world's wheat. Red Hard Winter 1 and 2, I believe. I think there's other genuses they produce, but yeah, this is why they have the reason to do what they're doing. They're being fleeced by Quebec, by Ottawa, rather, so badly. And Armando Branco made some comments in there, and he's a friend of mine, dear friend of mine up in Canada. And he made a few comments there. Canada is the Crown's cash cow, yes, and they don't want to lose it, but they're going to. He says it's nationwide, this sentiment and movements towards. I know that to be a fact too, and information that I have. And also, yeah, Quebec will be the defining order at the end, even if 7 provinces come as protectorates or territories of the U.S., because I think they should have self-governance in those territories still, even if they should come over to us. And that would, a protectorate status doesn't necessarily guarantee ready military protection. That's always at the base of everything. Protectorates, territory of, that's guaranteed Guam, Puerto Rico, etc. So the momentum is there, and if Alberta should succeed, you will see many of the other provinces follow suit, and that's a weakening of the Crown.
I was going to touch on that because let's say Alberta is done. Saskatchewan is one that is
right behind them.
behind it. And now he'll tell you.
You're talking oil.
Yeah, exactly.
Timber, mineral.
What's currently coming in. That's insane.
Yeah. Timber, mineral, oil. The resources in Canada match that of the U.S. And there's no reason not to accept them. But I think we have to do a little cleaning house down here with such as what's going on. And Minnesota is just representative of the wackadoodle areas around the country.
Yeah.
And we're going to see them probably follow suit. They might want to wait till spring. You know, I don't know what their reasoning would be, but a dear friend of mine who was assassinated in China, Professor Paul Michael Weavy. We worked together for several years, very close every day. And he's from Canada originally. He had dual citizenship, Canadian and American. And we used to talk about a lot of these things 3, 4, and 5 years ago and what the status was of them. Basically finding out the sentiment of the people through chatter and things like that and other data. This was coming. This was coming because with the likes of Trudeau being merely the little sock puppet for the Crown Corporation out of London, square mile, and them trying to maintain a massive presence, not only in Canada, but in the United States. And most Americans would, what are you talking about? Well, let me ask you this, why 7 states, and I can name them easily, why do their Supreme Courts double as King's Bench jurisdictions? Why is the Governor General of Canada also quietly has the office of Governor General of North America? That includes Mexico. I don't think Mexicans know much about that. So we're getting into some real rarefied areas with all of this. But that to me is a good sign in showing a weakening of Europe's hand in our affairs. Make no mistake, it's there. It's there in such a deep level and a hidden level, both legally and financially. The average person can't find it if they tried, but it's there. It comes down to ownership and subsidiaries, etc. All of that. SEC filings would bear it out if you want to look up certain companies that you might think would be engaged in that. You can easily find that information in SEC filings. They don't hide anything in SEC filings, but most people never go there. Most reporters or, journalists, as they like to call themselves, never go there. There's so much going on in the background that most are unaware of, and it's unfortunate. But that's why I wish there were more, and I think that needs to come in time where these audiences need to grow, so that they can hear this kind of things from other people, not only myself.
Okay. All right. Well, let's press on here because we're gonna do some Q&As here afterwards. Hang on. Here we go.
Agricultural supply chains flow south. Manufacturing inputs and logistic routes, they already assume that the United States market is the primary destination. That integration exists without any speeches or treaties. Independence would just, it would simply remove the middle layer that pretends to manage what's already happened. So again, we'll look at the numbers, and based on that, I don't see some sort of dramatic leap. I see a step that was queued up years ago. Direct access to a $27 trillion economy that is the United States that changes the mechanics instantly.
Wow.
You're not going to have any federal mediation. You're not going to have intergovernmental choreography. You're not going to have policy bottlenecks dressed up as coordination. You're just going to have direct participation in the system that Alberta's already feeding. And that kind of access rewires how trade decisions are made and how capital plans its next move.
People that fought for the country, like, why are they on the
keep
streets and
them
we got
on.
other people getting handouts? Like, it's tough, right? But as soon as we can help ourselves and we can help everybody else, I think we can be better that way afterwards.
Definitely try to get everybody working, you know.
Representation matters here in a way that a lot of people avoid saying out loud. Because you see, inside Canada, Alberta votes heavily and it negotiates lightly. Inside the United States, population determines seats, at least in half of Congress. So Alberta's population would likely translate into 6 to 8 additional seats in the House of Representatives, in addition to the 2 senators. And that's not symbolism. That is committee power, that's budget leverage, that's procedural presence. Influence would move from suggestion to a hard vote count, which alters pretty quickly how interests are treated. And folks, defense very rarely gets discussed honesty. So, being the trying to be honest people that we are, I'm going to linger on that one a little bit. In integration into a defense structure of the United States that has an annual budget of about $870 billion, that reframes borders, that reframes trade routes, and that reframes infrastructure planning. Investors, folks, price stability, not speeches. When defense guarantees sit under an economy, capital behaves differently. Supply chains stretch out further. Insurance costs change. Long-term planning becomes a heck of a lot less theatrical and more mechanical.
Just because I'm fed up with the government, the federal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Smith is on the right track. Good for her. I support her all the way.
Yeah. And what's the number one thing you'd like to see in an independent Alberta, in an Alberta Republic, if you will?
Well, I don't know, just to be sovereign and be able to make our own decisions and for what's good for us.
And then there's the generational piece to all of this, which people still underestimate. Polling since 2023 shows that support for independence is rising 5 points in Edmonton, 5 points in Calgary, and 11 points in rural Alberta. And that distribution matters. It tells you that this isn't confined to just one geographic area. I think a lot of people like to think it's just rural, but again, 5 in Edmonton, 5 in Calgary. It just shows that this is spread across different living patterns, which, in my opinion, gives it a heck of a lot more durability than flair. And among Albertans aged 18 to 34, support is at 40%, basically. And that number carries weight because younger voters don't rotate issues the same way that older voters do. They carry positions forward. They age with these policies. And when that cohort anchors a shift, the calendar becomes an ally rather than an enemy. Movements that are attached to generational replacement, they tend to outlast cycles of commentary.
Why are you here? An opportunity to be a part of trying to make some real change.
It was a busy weekend for a group of Albertans trying to force a referendum on separating from Canada.
So I hear skepticism being framed as patience, but demographics don't wait for permission, folks. Younger voters become middle-aged voters, all while institutions continue to remain the same size, mostly. And so that mismatch forces a lot of adaptation. Media doubt's not going to magically reverse the process. It just narrates around it. Momentum will accelerate because the population structure is going to keep feeding it. So now, having said all that, let's look at what Canada is going to carry if Alberta exits the system. Again, I'm not sure if I mentioned it earlier, but Alberta contributes about 17% of national GDP. That's not some rounding error. 17 is not a rounding error. That is a load-bearing share, especially when you consider the population percentage of Alberta is less than 17%. So removing that GDP, that is going to change how the entire structure balances. Economic models are currently pointing towards a 15 to 20% depreciation of the Canadian dollar under that scenario. Currency shifts like that are going to ripple through prices, debt, and confidence, needless to say.
Yeah, just the economy.
Just the economy. Huge thing.
Why am I out here?
Yep.
To make Alberta great again.
Heck yeah. And what makes Alberta great on day one of an independent Alberta? What is the number one thing you want to see?
My money stay here in Alberta, and sticking up for the things that I grew up in this province. And 50 years ago, it was great.
An equalization restructuring is going to create another mechanical problem. Think about it. You're going to have an at least immediate $16 billion annual gap for the recipient provinces in the East. And that gap is going to demand a response. You know, budgets don't magically correct themselves as much as I wish they did. Spending patterns or tax structures they're going to adjust because they have to. And at the same time, Canada's debt to GDP ratio is going to spike. And think about what that invites. Credit rating scrutiny, higher borrowing costs. These are basic reactions, not threats, folks. And so this is why the phrase 51st state incoming, that's why it lands the way it does for me. It describes a sequence, not a slogan. Independence is going to change Alberta from a province that's requesting accommodation into an entity that is negotiating from asset ownership. Ownership reframes conversations without ever having to raise its voice. Once independence becomes credible, alignment with the United States is going to solve several constraints at once through structure rather than persuasion.
Need 177,000 signatures by May, but the question to be placed on the ballot does not mention the United States.
Currency stability, trade continuity, defense assurance, they're all going to align naturally under that model. And global precedent shows that landlocked or transitioning regions, they function through negotiated integration, not isolation. You know, Switzerland and Austria, they didn't collapse into silence. They, very wisely, contracted their access and built leverage. And I think the calculation here feels pretty darn similar. Staying would cost more than leaving for Alberta at this point. And I think joining the United States system is going to resolve the largest governance equations immediately. Basic math. We'll just see where it goes, and we'll see if the good people of Alberta, Canada follow along. We'll see. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. Always appreciate you guys tuning into this channel.
All right, folks. There you have it. Ghost, I'm going to go to you before I go to Mike. I think President Trump, and I've said this before on this platform many, many times, he is six-dimensional chess, and he's 5 steps ahead of everybody, although he may not show it. But, dude, just numbers-wise, adding the provinces that Hermano Branco put up here in the chat, right? And now there's one that, let's take British Columbia for a minute, right? You know, Vancouver. That right now, currently, because I kept watching another one of this guy's feeds, is now almost a 50-50 split. If you go out of the urban areas, right, especially in Vancouver, you know, outside, they're mostly leftist, they're liberal. But if you go to the outskirts, they're not. So you could possibly have a 50-50 split coming out of BC also as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, before I address that, let me say a few things. This gentleman does a remarkable job with his reporting on this issue. And he makes some very practical and pragmatic points about it's not about speeches, you know, it's about what was the term he used? Well, anyway, it's not about speeches, it's about where the rubber meets the road. And that's what he's basically saying. You look at the population of that province and their productivity, it puts many states to shame in this country. And if you allow them, which they will, they'll keep their money. It won't get siphoned to Ottawa and then to Europe. The New Jersey is the highest per capita in wealth in the country. I think their population is around 9 million, give or take. It's not 8, it's 9 million, between 9 and 10. California, no, they have too much of a population. They have a great, they'd be the 5th or 6th largest economy in the world by themselves. And that was years ago. I don't know what it is right now. So I would lean towards New Jersey, but I think Alberta, when you talk about per capita wealth, would probably supersede New Jersey. Norway, population of 5 million. It is the wealthiest per capita country in the world. Why? Massive oil and gas reserves. Still many untapped. They have generations to go as long as we're still on the petroleum teat, that they will remain that way. And what does that enable Alberta to do? Provide better services to their people, such as medical. They can retool themselves. I think it's going to be done in a way that Alberta has the sovereign measure to decide how it governs itself, even if it is the 51st state. And they will put many states, if not most states, to shame with what they have and what they'll be able to do. And I think it's an amazing metamorphosis we're seeing here. Just an incredible metamorphosis. What was the first part you asked again?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I was basically going to do a 180 here and go to JJ Johnson over from Finland. I was going to ask him this earlier when you were talking about, the 3-sectored world and stuff like that, because I think that the president of Finland was kind of like on the fence with this whole migration of things and how they're going. So I wasn't very clear on that, and I was just trying to see if what JJ is hearing on the ground over there in Finland. Is your leader over there down with Trump's plan and what's going on, or is it a different take? If he's still here or not, he can maybe chime in on that. But
yeah, he just dropped one in there.
I forgot about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay. He says here, Stub is an old CIA asset. Oh, crap. Okay.
Good. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to reorganize things is my humble opinion. That's all. Whatever it takes to reorganize things for the better.
He says he says he's a bitch to Trump, but still plays his role in the movie.
That's funny, JJ. That's funny.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Funny.
Okay, well,
but he's an old CIA asset. Well, maybe he was a good one.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it was for a good reason. I don't know. I can't say, but because I don't know. But
all right, folks. Let's do another plug here really quick for those of you popping in new to the stream here, because I am watching. For Mike and Renee, you guys will see we're doing this tonight's show. All proceeds, all donations, all merch that is sold here, all proceeds, every single penny, every single dime will go to their GoFundMe page. You'll see that pinned at the top of the live chat. You'll also see the link to their GoFundMe page in the comments here in the stream also as well. We're trying to raise as much money as we can to help these people, especially Renee, who's very, very sick right now. This couple is a dear friend of Ghost, and we're trying to step up and do the right thing. We're trying to do some of God's work here by taking as many donations as we can. So every penny that is collected here tonight, all of it is going 100% over to their GoFundMe page over there just to help this couple out. So any donations will be greatly appreciated. All right. So that's Steve W792K. Thank you. $30 there from Steve. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. And your names, once you go to the GoFundMe page, if you guys do decide to go to the link instead of dropping anything here, okay, you can just pop your name in there. Doesn't matter. And it's all up there for everybody to see also as well. So anything that comes in here will be donated by me, okay, and it'll be in one lump sum. So if you guys want to go there, just to check and balances, that's totally fine. We are currently up to, let me see, do my math here. We're up to $130 so far. So greatly appreciate that, guys. Very, very much. It's probably more than $130 because Jerry Davis, Bum on the Bus, he went to the link and he dropped a donation in there as well. I don't know what that amount is. So just from my numbers here, I will check that as well. But right now we're at $130 plus what I don't know because I haven't seen it yet, but would greatly appreciate your support, guys. Really, really, very, very much, man. This is for a good cause. Mike, I wanted to ask you a question again, because I don't know. I'm aware of Michigan, but I'm not aware of Minnesota. If what we just talked about, what Ghost mentioned, especially, and Hermano Bronco here, if Alberta comes down and the other provinces do also as well, obviously, I would think that the U.S. automakers will want to come back home, right? Does Minnesota have, automaker plants like for, GM, Ford, Dodge, anybody that you know of?
Not for anything like that. Maybe some parts manufacturers or whatnot, but that would be probably more geared towards the cities. But we're not really well known for any of that kind of work. I know obviously Michigan is a huge, a lot of the Toyotas, stuff like that do a lot of work down south, just for the fact that I believe, taxes are cheaper for the companies that, have them create parts and, actually put the vehicles together. So Minnesota is not really a great state for that.
Okay. All right, cool. Hey, I didn't know. So I figured I'd ask because based on how I see the optics of this playing out, not only will, Michigan and, hopefully the northern part of the states here in the Republic, we all are going to benefit if this happens greatly.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There's no doubt about it, man. So guys, just remember one thing, please vote. You got to vote, man, in the midterms if that happens to take off the ground. Mia Dice, $20 donation. Thank you. Prayers up also. Thank you so much. God bless, man. Really appreciate that.
God bless you.
All right. I'm loving this,
very
guys.
appreciative of every dime you've all given. So thank you so much.
I'm writing your name down here also as well.
This family, as a husband and wife, my heart goes out to them. And I know what Mike has done and how he served this country as I and others have. And it breaks my heart to see somebody in a position like that, especially a brother to me and I to him. So thank you very much.
Jesse QK, $20 dono. Thank you so much for that. God bless, man. I really, really appreciate this, man. You guys are really stepping up, man. You guys are amazing. Love it. Love it. This is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I'm loving it. All right. I'm sorry. I'm just taking some notes here. I'm just keeping track of stuff.
I just popped off something on GoFundMe there. I left my real name instead of the, AKA LDSA.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Don't want to leave that name there.
Well, maybe get some laughs. Who knows?
Yeah. All right. So I'm just putting Mike L, and you don't have to tell me whatever. I'll go and update this as soon as I get out of here. So that's awesome. That is awesome. I'm loving it. Okay. Super duper. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. Really, really do. All right. Let's do this. Let's go over here now and let me pop up my questionnaire here. Media assets. This is a great show tonight, guys. Really, truly appreciate it all. This is fantastic, man. Hopefully we can help these folks out, man, where we can. Where am I? Nope, that's not what I wanted. Come on, here we go. All right, let's do some questions and answers. Anything for myself, Mike, or in the or for Mr. Ghost here? Any questions you guys may have on what you experienced today, or any comments you'd like to make, by all means. And please do follow and leave a comment, share, subscribe, like, smash that like button, but leave a comment down in the chat because it definitely helps out the algos. But let's do a little bit of Q&A here, and let's see what you guys got, what you guys want. Looking up. Take computers out of cars. Yeah. Hey, yeah, no doubt about that. Huh. All right. Well, I'll keep scanning here in the chat for questions. You guys may want to throw it this way. Ghost, can you give us an update where possible as to what you see coming here? Because we are inching closer to the midterms, of course. We are also inching towards escalations, and we all know what's going on with that. You know, Minneapolis, New York, New Jersey, what have you. And things like that, of anything that you've heard as to what to look out for, what to prepare for, what's coming. What do you see that you can share?
Well, you've got on the Mexican border, troop buildup on the Mexican side. That'll be interesting to see how that looks. And
I still keep seeing those feeds that come in. And for those of you here in the audience that don't know what Ghost is talking about, Mexican troop buildups on the border, that is in fact true. I have seen actual footage of maneuvers being done going towards the border. And then there's chatter, allegedly, that a lot of the cartel, the Mexican cartel families have obviously infiltrated the U.S., you know, very, very high up. Also, Cartel de los Soles has infiltrated here. You guys know about that from the last stream that we did. But focusing more on the Mexican demographics, allegedly, they are adding fuel to the violence in some of these cities. They're funding it, along with the CCP. That's old news. Everybody knows that the Chinese are behind this too, pumping money into that also as well. Okay, but they look the other way, sleight of hand. You know, we didn't do anything, but secretly they're pointing the finger. They're using proxies is what they're doing to get money in here and funding all this violent stuff, right? But their goal is that they want to take America back to the 1800s and take back the land that was rightfully theirs that was taken away. Good luck with that.
That's a fantasy.
Uh-huh.
I think that's a little, let's say, xenocentric ginning of sentiments to be for the average person then who doesn't have a stake either way or is terrified every day in their existence of, well, maybe you know, for those inclined to jump on such bandwagons like the people in the lefties in Minnesota who are doing what they're doing, Portland, we can go on with that, but I think they're trying to duplicate that kind of sentiment from a cartel level of brain power and analysis and implementation. And yeah, good luck with that too. I don't think it's going to do very well. No, you're not going to get half of California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas back. That's what you're talking about with that. So if think the Mexican army, the F-16s I saw that came into the one base I was at one time had welded chain sticks, and they had hydraulics in their landing gear, and they were bouncing on the runway. Come on. It's a joke, but I'm saying that's what the Mexicans, their military versus ours.
Yeah.
Well, I think you could just take
Saddam
Texas.
Hussein's had more of a chance.
Yeah, I would say even with just Texas alone, you just take the military out of the Texas element, and
Right.
good luck. Good luck.
Spot on, man. That's it's funny when you think about it. The reactions they're panicking. That's called panic.
Yeah.
And they have every reason to.
I think I saw
Let's
a
see
comment.
what else.
I think I saw a comment out there about why is and sorry MP if I'm not you know, portraying this exactly the way you said it, but kind of like why is Minnesota the flashpoint? Minneapolis is a cesspool. It has been for a long time. It hasn't gotten any better. It's only gotten worse. You know, the entire state is full of a bunch of corrupt politicians. You know, even the Republicans are rhinos. It's a bad place, and it's probably a really great area to set up these kinds of, you know, scenarios. You got a lot of brain dead NPC non-player characters walking around and doing their day to day, and it's, you know, it's a great place to start stirring up the pot. No other way to put it.
Mm. When I saw Waltz, and then I guess it was his AG. I think it was his AG.
Ellison.
Ellison.
Yeah,
Yeah.
making those well, they weren't making speeches, but just they are so invested in their corruption. They have all the catchphrases and terminology down to twist everything that's being done to quell the violence and to get the bad apples out of there. It was just I was watching it with my wife and laughing my ass off at times. It's like, do they hear themselves? Do these people actually hear themselves? And I could just go back to make asylums great again, because it's batshit insanity. And
Yeah, Walls is
they're
nuts.
expecting people to buy that? Oh, how can you stand being there?
Yeah, I don't, me personally, this is where I was born and bred, and I can't depart.
You
I
can't.
will
Right.
go to the last ends if need be. Personally, it angers me to see where the state has gone. I'm 45 years old. Short of my active duty military time, this is the place I've lived, and to see how things have changed is enraging, to say the least. But I always hold out hope that it's gonna turn around. That I don't believe a lot of the statistics bullshit that they throw out there. And pardon my French, everybody.
I think you're in the majority.
I think so too. I think short of the Duluth area and the Twin Cities, I think everybody out there is the same viewpoint. And just because you got a louder mouth doesn't make you a bigger player. So I have hope that things will turn around. I've got people that I know who have been, I'm getting out of the state, and I beg them, plead them, just no, you're on the same wavelength as us, and like to leave is to cower and to give them more power in a sense. And it's just no, I can't do that morally. I cannot just bail on my state.
Mike, let me ask you this then.
I respect you for that.
What's the chatter? What's the chatter? Boots on the ground as far as Insurrection Act is concerned, first, and then second. I've been hearing also a lot of chatter about National Guard being the federal National Guard being activated, 1,500, I think, in numbers, and headed that way. Is there any truth to any of those two?
I saw some videos of the Minnesota National Guard being there in downtown Minneapolis. I'm not 100% sure if that's actually legit. That's kind of something that, hard to tell. I should actually contact a couple people and see if there's any validity to that. When it comes to the people that have a brain, a lot of them are saying, yeah, Insurrection Act, let's get something going here. The only people you're going to find that are on the other side of the fence are, I don't know, 50% bot accounts on Facebook and whatnot. I sent you that screenshot yesterday of me having a nice little back and forth with a individual who wanted to talk smack about a buddy who owns a restaurant. And
I saw that.
Yep. And it's just, I think there's a lot of people out there that think our way, but they just don't, they're still in that whole, I don't want to create waves mentality. And unfortunately, you're going to get to a point where you don't have a choice. So either shit or get off the pot. That's my feelings on that.
Yeah. They don't want to be labeled some sort of phobia or phobic.
Yep. And I understand it, but the times we're in right now, it's not time to play games. And so you need to pick a side. You're either on their side or our side. And it's going to get to a point where it's all going to come out anyways. So,
well, the problem is that they don't want to be labeled a phobic until that tentacle touches them on a personal level. Then let's see what they do.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's easy from the sidelines, but in the minute it starts to affect your own life, then yeah, then suddenly someone's got an opinion they're willing to speak up about. So
yeah.
Well, I see in the chat here, MP20 said, I feel like it's being used for exposure by the good guys. Yes. I do believe that.
There you go.
On several levels. And then DigiRopac and MP20 probably a little of that too. I think it's a lot of that. I think that's why the insurrection hasn't been enacted. I think they're letting it go as far as as is acceptable. And then, yes, you'll see that enacted. And these are real delicate handling types of situations. And then you do have various ops scenarios going on there at the same time. Look, Antifa, and this is why I think Cash Patel is so wide-eyed and sometimes and doesn't say what's really going on, but that's a more complex situation, not more than complex than Minnesota. I'm saying there's a more complex situation going on with that at FBI. But Antifa is a COINTELPRO creation. It actually was organic, like most of them are, very early on when they know they can serve a purpose, like Proud Boys, Antifa, BLM. You have two on one side of the coin, one on the other. They become infiltrated rapidly, and it's very difficult for those involved in it. Number one, they're not experienced or trained to deal with seeing, oh, this new guy that came in, he's this and all that, and yeah, and we can trust him. No, you can't. You fucking can't trust him, because he's the first fish hook in before the anchor gets put in by domestic operations. And those domestic operations, we know, are overburdened and heavily laden with the globalist agenda retards. And that's what you've got. You've got brewing up there. You've got a lot of COINTELPRO, and then you have ICE on the other hand trying to do their job. And you have people engaged in official positions with insurrection and treason. And this will all come out. Let's let this germinate just a little longer in Minnesota, because look, it's a wonderful state.
Beautiful.
And yeah, absolutely beautiful. And great fishing.
Oh God, yeah.
And I am a fisherman, so I'm going to say that right off the top. But you know, it's just horrible seeing that it has to go this way, but it has to go this way for a while. So let's see where this all lands.
And I just want to say one thing too.
MP20.
Go for it.
MP20 and anybody else who might be on this, live stream right now that's from Minnesota. When I say I'm staying here and whatnot, and I say I can't, leave and be that kind of person, I'm not dumping on anybody who said screw it, I can't deal with this crap anymore, I'm out. I don't hold people to my same standards that I hold myself up to. So I just, don't think that I'm talking down to anybody who may be here that has done that. That's not me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
JJ Johnson says there are a lot of old Finns in the north of Minnesota. So the question is, JJ, when are you coming over, bro? Love to have you here stateside, man. Come on. But if you do, come to the south. It's just better here.
There's Norwegians up here too, quite a bit. You look at a lot of the town names, and you will. Oh yeah, absolutely. You go out western and northern, and you will find a lot of Scandinavian town names. Great people.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I think they're being quintessentially polite. A lot of them right now.
I mean, Western Minnesota is a place you could be driving down the, county road, and the guy that's coming, at you and oncoming will flip up a couple fingers to, basically say hello, and you're, you don't get that in Minneapolis or a lot of other places. So it's a different beast.
Yeah, you get that in the rural South, and love it. And this is what the real base this country is made of.
Steve W79 2K says here, hey now Armando, us Northerners need all the conservatives we can get. LOL. Look, man, I'm not.
I feel for you.
Yeah, I'm not bashing on Northerners at all. Okay, because I will confess, I spent a good part of my life. Yes, I'm gonna say it, and in Chicago, Illinois. You're right, when it was a somewhat habitable place. Okay. But
that was very well put.
Yeah. But my mom suffered a lot from arthritis, and her hands got really kinked up really bad to a point where she was told by doctors, you need to move to a warmer climate or else your hands are going to stay that way forever because you just can't handle this right here. So we had to move back to Florida, right? Warmer climate. Can't get warmer than that. But no, man, I'm telling you, look, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana. When we lived in Chicago, we traveled through all those states because I had a lot of family at the time that lived in New York City, actually. So Dad would take us on trips. We would go through Ohio, Pennsylvania and stuff like that. Beautiful country. I'm not going to lie, especially Wisconsin Dells. Oh my God, we used to go there a lot too. It's beautiful. Just the forestry alone, the wildlife. Minnesota is right there also as well. Loved it. But I'm not going to lie, my blood is way too thin, man, for that kind of weather. I'm here in Georgia right now. I got ice on the ground like there's no tomorrow, still coming down, and we're in the teens, and I'm freaking bundled up like if I was up in below zero weather. I'm sorry, it's just the way it goes, right?
If I had the money, I would have a summer home in Minnesota in the up north, and I would have a winter home down south and avoid all the cold.
Well, there you go.
Alabama or Tennessee are fine states.
Yep.
Especially today, I had to go get my wife to pick her up at the hospital. She's still with my granddaughter over in NICU, and I went out to the truck and hit the unlock button and stuff like that. Go pull on the door handles, sealed tight, frozen handle, doors, everything. Could not open the sucker. I had to get my pocket knife out, right, and start chipping shit away to be able to open and pull on the latch hard enough to get. And then I'm like, all right, let me do the mirrors. Let me do the windows. Came off easily. Wasn't that big a deal. But the windshield, forget it. I had to come back inside and get one of those ice scrapers and go back out there. So that brought back fond memories on why the hell we moved out of Chicago and went to Florida. I'm like, I don't want to deal with that shit. Forget about shoveling. Because my old man used to make me shovel snow, right, to find the car. We had a massive blizzard one day. Those people that left the antennas up on their cars more or less knew where they parked because we lived in a brownstone back then. And it's like, Junior, get the snow shovel. Why? We got to find the car. Dad, of course, forgot where the hell the car was. So we start, shoveling snow off of the cars and shit like that. And turns out it was the neighbor's car, not ours. And he goes, I think I'm over here. And I'm like, great. Right. And then the neighbor would come out and he goes, hey, thanks a lot. Throw him in what was he drinking back then? Either a Schlitz. No, it wasn't a Schlitz. It was, what was that damn cheap ass beer? A Schaefer. Yeah, that's what it was. A can of Schaefer or Pabst Blue Ribbon or some crap like that. Right. And they crack open the beer, start shoveling snow and shit like that. But it was like, forget this. And then he had an old 73 Olds Cutlass, I remember. And I'll never forget the day he had to take out the Zippo lighter and heat up the key so he can melt the ice inside the door lock to open the freaking door. I laughed my ass off. That was the funniest thing I ever seen.
I always have a really good kind of thing I bring up with people sometimes. With in my job, I talk to a lot of people kind of all around the world and down south and whatnot. And I always go back to them, like, back in the old days when they're going to explore the West, and they get up in the Minnesota or the cold North, and they make their little, with their little wagon and whatnot, and they make their cabin for the winter, and how in the hell did you not, once spring breaks, tell the wife and kids, pack your stuff, we're leaving, we're going down south? Because I don't know how they did it back then. I'm going to be honest with you. Brutal.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think that's what a lot of them were used to, and it was actually milder than Norway, Sweden, and Finland.
Yeah,
So
it's probably true.
in Denmark, so they probably said, "Yeah, this is nice."
Yeah, somebody needs to email Al Gore and ask him, "Hey, how about that global warming, bro? What's up?" Right? Shit. Anyway,
kidding.
all
I
right,
think
folks.
J.J. Johnson is worried about the social media Gestapo. I hope it's there and not here, because here you wouldn't have a problem coming in and letting you out. I don't know. Tell me the situation, Finland.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
There
Wait a
is
minute.
question.
Uh-oh. We got a question, because I was getting ready to cut out, right? But here we go. Loves the girl. Ghost, you covered very interesting topics on Nino regarding God, consciousness, aliens, etc. Can you please expand on those topics? That is a series of maybe 5 shows, 4 hours each.
I'll tell you what. We'll set up a show with the 3 of us on that for itself, because that's a whole different ball of wax. I tried to cover certain things to try to expand the conversation, and it did. And,
all right.
Yeah, we'll do it here.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. You see, K. Sarah says, yes, ×2. Okay, cool. How about I put this out there and you guys let me know in the chat, because, I like listening to my audience. Whatever you guys suggest, I will do my best to provide. Why don't we do this coming Thursday, right? And I have material, not a problem. Why don't we do a live stream with the F.E.V.E. project instead of doing, Truth Table News World? Would you guys be down for that? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. He with the highest yeses or thumbs up wins. I'm going to do it anyway, but it don't matter.
Love it.
I said, I'll call you if I need Maduro treatment, Ghost.
All right. Loves a Girl says yes. All right, I'm going to do it then. We're gonna do a live stream on F.E.V.E. project this coming Thursday. All right, we'll just go with that, and I'll find some good content video wise on those topics that you guys mentioned here. All right, so we'll do it. Consider it done, folks. All right, guys. Ghost, Mike, whichever one of you two want to go first, get us out of here. Give us closing thoughts, comments, because we are out.
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I think everything covered today was fantastic. A couple points with the videos with the individuals in Alberta. I think the running theme you all saw on there was, hey, we want to take care of ourselves, and then if we got the ability, we'll take care of others. And I think all of us could probably agree on that. And that's not something to be frowned upon and whatnot. And I think there's a lot of things that are going to change. I think it's for the better. A lot of shake up, and it's going to be great, and it's going to help to free a lot of people and get us on a path that'll be better in the long run. And I'm personally excited to see where this all goes.
Okay.
Well,
all right, Ghost.
I feel for you up there, but I know, that is a good fight, and it's not so much a fight as it is a revealing of agendas with all that's going on up there. And that's where everyone's focused in the nation right now, because of obviously the couple of incidents. But yesterday I was looking for something, and then we saw tear gas being thrown at the law enforcement, and ICE agents in their armored vehicles. What are they, buffaloes, or what are they? Something in between that new vehicle. I don't know what that vehicle is, but they were throwing tear gas at them, and it's. Do you not know what you're poking at? Waltz has no justification he brought up his National Guard general. And I thought, oh, that poor guy. He's got to stand there and reflect what he's being ordered by the governor. Until when something changes, Insurrection Act is imposed, then he's got to listen to the orders from the federal government.
Yep.
And his commanders in the active duty realm. So it's going to be a whole turn. So I knew this guy was probably more nervous than Tampon Timmy, and just all of it unrolling from what I saw. Everyone standing there. I saw this one sheriff to the right of him scream, but to the left of him, and she never changed her expression. And I thought, that poor woman is probably thinking, I just hope I can get through this to get my pension. I just hope I can get through this with my position. You're thinking all these things while looking at this melodrama playing out and all of their horseshit exaggerations and twists and turns of what's really going on. The Democrats, as an operational arm of the communist themed globalist arm, have mastered turning the statement back on the let's say the more reasonable minds in the administration that are trying to govern this thing. They become masters at it. That's why they chose him for vice president for Kamala box wine, is because he was just doing it brilliantly.
Yeah.
And he wasn't doing it with word salad. And for the reactionary minds in the Minneapolis area and that community, they're loving it. But they're acting and thinking from a position that is devoid of all logic, reason, common sense, and pragmatism to their own destruction. So maybe I've just outlined why they're letting them go this long to their own destruction. There's no other way it can go. They don't realize that. In this situation, for the first time in a long time, it's not who pulled the trigger first loses. It's who doubles down loses.
Yeah.
And the reactionaries are doubling down. The
They're gonna implode.
Defeat is in their future. Yeah.
They're gonna implode.
Absolutely. So I hope I hope there's no more loss of life, but that's just a hope. Reality dictates, no, there'll be more loss of life. Unfortunately, until this ends. And it's unnecessary loss of life.
Yep.
So
that's right.
War is war.
Yeah, war is what it is.
All right, Knights of the Round Table, thank you so much for popping in here today. Folks, thank you from the bottom of my heart, man, for your donations and your help for Mike and Renee with the whole GoFundMe project, man. This has been absolutely incredible. God bless you all, man. I really, really appreciate that.
Thank you very
We're
much.
out of here. Stay safe out there. Stay warm. And above all, like I always end, all right, keep your head on a swivel, keep your powder dry. And above all, God bless. We will catch you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.
God bless everyone.